Hello. Okay, so here is, I'm going to do a couple of examples that might help you with that quiz 2.2, which is the unit rate quiz. All right, so if you can think of unit rates as simplifying or expanding fractions, as long as whatever you do to one number, you have to do to the other. So just like a quick review, let's say I were to talk about a fraction that's 2/3. This works the same with ratios as well. If I were to make 2/3, if I were to expand it, right? Let's say I were to just multiply that top number by 2, and that would give me 4. I can't just go ahead and just put 3 over on this side. I have to also multiply 3, and then that will give me 6. These are equivalent fractions, or they would be considered equivalent rates. Even if I were just to put this, miles per minute. Um, this would be the same thing, miles per minute. So they work very similarly to fractions, um, as long as whatever you're doing to one number, you do to the other. It would go the same way if we were to simplify them. So if I were to take the number 2/10, okay, 2/10, and I were to divide by 2 at the top, I would have to divide the bottom by 2, and again, it would just give me 1/5. They're the same rates. So this could be two, I don't know, cookies for 10 people. I don't know. Something like that. So unit rates would be the same. It's going to give you a rate, but your job is to figure out this part. So this is the mystery part here. It's going to give you some clues, but you have to figure it out what is happening here. So it's almost like they were to cover this up and say, okay, well, how did you get from 2 to 4? That kind of thing. So like, let me give you an example. So in that quiz, we're going to do number 1. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'll show you how to do store A. So it's asking you to try to find the best cost per minute, and it gives you all these stores that you can buy these swimming lessons from. So in store A, it tells you that it is $25. Sorry, 20, let me, we'll try that again. $25 for 45 minutes. Okay, and it says the very last sentence, based on the lowest cost per minute. So what it wants to know is how much are you paying per minute if my rate is $25 for 45 minutes. So you make what's called a cute little T-chart. It's our strategy, and we're going to label the sides. So the two things we have, it says cost per minute. And we know what these are, okay? My cost is $25 and my minute is 45 for 45 minutes. Now what it wants you to figure out, but what is the cost, what is this number for 1 minute? So I told you it works pretty similarly to fractions. This is that mystery part. So what is happening to go from this? I know that I'm going from 45 to 1. So what am I doing? Well, I know to go from 40, any number divided by itself is 1. So if I'm dividing this side by 45, then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So your calculator is available in Progress Learning. I'm going to pull mine up. And if I were to type in 25 divided by 45, I get 0.5555, like a bunch of them. So basically, I'm going to change this number, and I'm going to get 0.55. So for store A, it is 55 cents a minute. So and that is how you calculate store A. Then you're going to do B, C, and D, and for each one, it's going to give you how much you're going to pay per minute. And so your goal says what is the lowest cost per minute. So once you do each one of those, one of them will have a lower cost for every single minute. All right. So I'm going to do another one on this example. So I'm not going to give the answer, but I will show you the procedure. Okay, this one, I believe 7654. I believe this is number 4. So in number 4, it says Mark can run 2 miles in 16 minutes. How long will it take him to run 5 miles? Okay. So how long will it take him to run 5 miles? So I'm going to make my T-chart. And let's go ahead and start with the information I know. I know my miles and I know my minutes. I know that it's for every 2 miles he can run 16 minutes. But what I don't know is how long it will take him for 5 miles. So this is probably the more complicated part. So I can't use my, and I can't just do one procedure like here. I can't just divide one number or multiply one number to get from 2 to 5. So, because we want to try to stick with whole numbers, so how in the world do I get from 2 to 5? What we can do though is I can kind of do like a middle ground and figure out, well, how much would it be in 1 mile? And then that'll help me get to 5. So in this example, how did I go from 2 to 1? Well, it sounded like it looks like I can divide by 2. So let's do the same thing over here. So we're going to divide by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Now that I have this can help me figure out if I know I'm running 1 mile in 8 minutes, well, how many am I running in 5? So we're going to use a different calculation. Let's do blue. So how did I get from 1 to 5? Well, in this case, I multiplied. It's not always division, but I multiplied by 5. So you can do that here, same thing, as long as it's the same situation, and that will help you calculate how much it would be in 5 minutes, or I'm sorry, in 5 miles. So I'm not going to give you the answer. You can use your calculator for this, but you are going to follow this procedure for every single one. So make your T-chart and label what you know. It's usually going to give you 3 of the 4 pieces. So like in this case, it gave us these 3, the 25, 45, and 1. In this case, it gave us 2, 16, and 5. Like it's going to give you that. But what you need to do is figure out that mystery number. But I told you from the very beginning, this is what you are not given. You have to find this part. And that's probably the hardest part of this whole thing. I also always recommend that you write these arrows because a pretty common mistake is instead of doing 16 divided by 2 is 8, some people will do like 8 divided by 16. Like you want to make sure that I'm drawing an arrow so that I know that this is 16 divided by 2. And I write every single step. Try not to do any of this in your head. Try to just write down your steps and use your calculator. So I hope this video was very helpful. You are welcome to watch it and pause it as many times as you need.